Well, hey there everyone. So today we are going to be sewing something that I'm very excited about. So I did not really know what I was going to be sewing this week. And so what I did was I was just browsing TikTok and somebody had mentioned this website that is great for sewing because it has tons of free patterns. Just to let you know, this is not sponsored in any way. I just really enjoyed this website and I wanted to share it with the rest of you. The website is called moodfabrics.com, and if you go on it, if you just Google Mood Fabrics free patterns, it will take you to all of the 61 pages of free patterns that they have on there, which is multiple patterns per page. And they are very cool. So I was browsing them and I came upon this pattern. So I came upon that. That is a Bridgerton inspired pattern that was written by Lee Norris, and it is a free pattern that you can just download and print from your computer. So this being a Bridgerton inspired dress, it has the empire waist and all that and the poofy sleeves, but it is shorter than regular Bridgerton dresses would be. So this is more of like a casual, of course, inspired dress. And I saw that and I immediately had to make that. If you browse the rest of their free patterns, they're really great, but I came upon this one and honestly it's probably one of the best patterns that I have done probably ever. Like, as in like fitting wise, this fit me the best and I only had to make like one adjustment. Given that, I would say this is not the most beginner friendly pattern. The pattern itself is incredible, but the instructions are not going to be step by step. It's more of a blog style instruction, so there's not step by steps. You kind of have to know what you're already doing to be able to do this pattern. Fortunately I did, and so I knew how to construct each piece, but if you don't, it might be a little difficult. So what I liked about this pattern is that it is something that I can wear like out and about and not look like I'm trying to cosplay somebody from Bridgerton because of the short aspect. So it's almost like a selkie dress in that aspect, except just a little bit different. And it is incredibly cute and I had to make this. So the fabrics that I ended up getting for my dress was, I went to Goodwill, of course, and I picked up this bed sheet. It was a queen bed sheet, I'm pretty sure, and it was just flowers and had some purple on it. And then I went to the curtain section and I found 3 like grayish purple sheer curtains. So the reason you want the 2 materials is because the bed sheet, which had the flower pattern, is going to be underneath, and then the sheer curtains are going to be overlaying all of it. So you do want to be able to see through it if you're going to be doing this pattern. Anyway, so that's what I went ahead and got for my dress. On a side note, I have Etsy news. Again, my name is changed to Heather Sigler Goods, and I just put these bad boys up on my Etsy. They're scrunchies that I made. So this one is a cotton scrunchie that's pink with white polka dots, which is hard to see on camera, and then a pink satin and a light pink lace. So I basically made these as like an experiment because I have tons of material that I need to get rid of. So I figured this would be a great way to use my scrap materials. It is a limited stock of only 20 because this is an experiment. If people buy them, then I will make more and of more color varieties. So if you want them, they're on my Etsy. I'll link that, and I will also link or put the website of Mood Fabrics down below, so go ahead and check them out. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with sewing. Alright, so the first thing that I had to do was to print out all like 50 pages of this pattern and tape them all together. And then for some of the smaller ones, I just took some parchment paper and I traced it out, so I didn't have to deal with cutting it out of the big sheet, so I could just use the little parchment. And then after that, what I had to do is cut out all of the materials of both the sheer curtains and of the bed sheet. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that all of the pieces are cut out, it is time to start the construction. So the first step for this is to put the darts in the bodice front and the bodice back. So you're just going to take the bed sheet and the sheer curtain, lay it on top, and sew the dart. You're not going to baste around it or anything, just put it straight on it. And then once you do that to all the pieces, you're going to sew them together at the side seam and at the arms. And I will see you after that. Is the sleeve construction. So what you do is you take the large sheer curtain sleeve that I had, and so you go ahead and make a gather about this far from the bottom, and then once you gather that to about the size that you want for your arm, you go ahead and you take a ribbon and sew it over that gather so it makes it look nice and pretty. And then you will do a French seam on the larger sleeve to sew it together. and then you'll take the smaller sleeve that's made out of the bed sheet and you will sew that together at the arm, regular seam or French seam, whichever one you'd like. And then you're going to put a gather on all 4 of the sleeves at the top, and then you're going to go ahead and gather it to about the size of the armhole. So once I did that, I went ahead and I inserted the sleeves inside each other and I gathered them to about the same size, and then I just put another basting stitch all around it just to make sure that it stayed in place, and then I sewed the sleeve onto the bodice. So let me go ahead and show you that. Here I'm just putting a gather stitch on the bottom of the inner sleeve, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the inner sleeve right where the ribbon is on the outer sleeve, and that helps the outer sleeve stay all nice and poofy. Now that the sleeve was sewn onto the bodice, I was a little torn about how I wanted the bottom of the sleeve to go, because it's supposed to be gathered to about the same size as where the ribbon is, and then you basically take a bias tape and put it around the bottom. But I kind of liked the flared out look that it had, so what I ended up doing was testing to see which one I liked more. So I did one sleeve in the gather in the bottom, one sleeve I just kind of hemmed, did a really small rolled hem all around the little flared bottom, and I ended up just doing the rolled hem around the bottom. The next thing that I did was the lining, so I forgot to cut out the lining, so I just cut it out of that bed sheet, and then you just sew the darts in like usual, and then sew the side seams and the arms. And then what you'll end up doing is you're going to put it right sides together, so with the lining on the outside, you're going to pin around the neckline and the arms and the two sides of the back that will be the zipper, and then you're going to sew along all of that and then turn it inside, and that is your lining, and that will get rid of those raw edges around the tops and the arms and the back, and just iron it. So let me go show you that. The next step in this dress is to sew these skirt pieces together. So the inner skirt is more of a tight skirt, and it has like, a body kind of shape to it. So it'll fit your body a little bit more tighter than the outer skirt, which is supposed to be more flowy. So I went ahead and for the inner skirt, I just did a regular seam. And I sewed them all together, and then I left a 4-inch gap on the back of both the inner skirt and the outer skirt so that the zipper could fit just a little bit below, so it's easier to get on. So I went ahead and I sewed the inner skirt together, and then for the outer skirt, since it was a sheer and shedding a lot, I did go ahead and I French seamed that. And then again at the back seam, I just went ahead and I made a pretty big seam, and then I did a rolled hem on each side so that I could have the 4-inch gap on the bottom and the seam was still encased. So once I did that, I went ahead and I gathered them to about the right size and to each other, and then once they were gathered to the same size, I put them into each other, and then I did a baste all the way around it just to make it stay in place, and then I added the bodice to it. So let me go show you that. the bodice is on the dress. It is almost done. So now we have to hem both of the skirts, the inner and the outer, separately. You're not going to hem them together. And then for the lining, I just went ahead and I very quickly and very crappily just did a little sew for the armhole of the lining because it wasn't connected to anything. So I just did a really quick hand sew for the lining armhole to the seam of the other armholes. So it was very crappy. I'm pretty sure it's not how it's supposed to be done, but that's what I did. And then the last step is to sew in the zipper, which I also did crappily, but I did it. And then the dress is done. So I guess I'll see you in the review. I cannot get over how freaking cute this dress turned out. I didn't expect the overlay to look this good over the bedsheet. I didn't expect the inner skirt to fit super well. It just turned out so cute and I cannot stop looking at it. And let me tell you, the flow factor of the outer fabric is so perfect. It's so pretty and it flows so well. So this is like a Bridgerton dress that I can just wear out and about because it's short and almost like a silky dress. And the poofy sleeves, I have been loving a poofy sleeve lately and I can't get over it, and it turned out so freaking well. I'd say the only downside to this dress is that the arms are a little restrictive, but I you know, in any other material I'm sure it'd be fine, or if I just loosen the arms a little bit I'm sure it's also just fine. But other than that, it fits so well. Also, I know I'm bad at zippers. Don't have to tell me I'm bad at zippers. Just ignore that the zipper looks like that and we'll all get along here. Anyway, I elected not to add the ribbon around here just because I figured it was a little too difficult. I didn't have the right ribbon and I didn't feel like dealing with the gathers to sew a ribbon on. So that's what you're getting. Also, I loved the bottom flare here like I was talking about, rather than the gathered by a staved sleeve at the bottom. This just looks a lot more princessy and I love it a lot. Anyway, so catch me frolicking in this dress because it's definitely a frolicking dress. I don't know who I'm gonna frolic with or where, but I'm gonna do it sometime. Highly recommend this pattern. It is one of the best ones I have had that literally fit perfectly. I literally made only one adjustment in this entire thing size wise and it was just perfect. I literally, like, my sewing process was me sewing things together and then sitting back and just staring at it because I was like in awe of how pretty it was and how well it was working out. So highly recommend this pattern if you want to go check it out. Again, it's the Bridgerton dress by Lee Norris on Mood Fabrics. Not sponsored, just a great resource. And yeah, literally this was a curtain and this was a bed sheet. So again, you know, sewing doesn't have to be expensive if you're thrifting items and being conscious about how much you're spending. It works and it's there. Just make sure you wash your fabrics beforehand. I don't need to explain this, but make sure you wash your fabrics before you use them. I've heard horror stories. My friend used to work at a Goodwill. Please wash your fabrics. Anyways, and then again, my scrunchies are up on my Etsy. If you want to go check those out, that would be lovely. Anyways, if you liked what I did, go ahead and like and subscribe. I post... I'm going to change the way that I say this because I'm going to start posting on Saturdays at noon instead of Fridays at noon so that I have Friday to edit rather than Thursday. It just gives me one extra day to sew. So, pew, 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 pew. If you liked what I did, go and like and subscribe. I post most Saturdays at noon, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching.